how much time did it take for you to create GraphQuilt?
I think it took us, the first version was done in like 3 months, but we didn't put it out there because there's a lot of refactoring that we had to do to remove the internal details from the project. But I think we put it out there after a year.
Many students, many professionals would have come up to you with some or the other common kind of questions they face in the same industry. So what kind of problems do they face, and how do you help them on the same then?
I think very common question that I have seen is, how do I get to the next level? How do I get to the next level in my career? If there's a SWE2 asking me going to a senior software engineer, if there is a senior wants to be a staff or a tech lead, and I usually say that I think that's same like having that expectation clear with your superior.
Welcome back, guys. So we have our another industry session that we had in our School of Future Tech, and today we have a very special guest, we can say, because he is someone who has an experience of overseas as well as the Indian education system, I can say. So we have Mr. Ashpak Sheikh with us, and he is a creator of GraphQuilt. He is also a senior staff software engineer at Intuit, and from excelling in Mumbai University to actually earning his master's in Rochester Institute of Technology in San Diego, he and his journey has been inspiring. So I would welcome you, sir, on our School of Future Tech's campus. First of all, thank you so much for giving us your time and coming to this campus. And second thing, I would want you to talk about your journey from how being a student at Mumbai University and now you are literally a creator of GraphQuilt and also a senior staff software engineer at Intuit.
So I'll start where my engineering career actually begins. I've been I did my bachelor's here at Thadomal Shani Engineering College, which is affiliated to Mumbai University, and then I was part of the IT department. I did my BE in IT. I was very passionate. I would say I kind of liked programming at that point, and you can call my batchmates and they can talk about my programming skills, and I was very good at it and I kind of loved it. During that time, all my friends were actually pursuing two things. If there was one group which was talking about getting a better placement, and I think 60-70% were talking about moving to US for masters. I had no clue about that, so I tagged along with one of my friends in one of the counseling/consulting sessions, which was free during that time. I think one of the free sessions, and it was a very good session on highlighting the benefits of doing masters in US and the career possibilities that come with it. So I took a stab at it. I enrolled in one of the classes and then just gave the entrance exams, I think GRE and TOEFL, and scored good. When the actual time came, I think third year is where you start applications. I had already applied to 6 or 7 universities, and I had a bunch of offers at the end of my, I think, 7th semester. But due to some reasons, my joining was postponed to, I think, 6 months, postponed by 6 months, and I had admits from like 2 colleges. So I decided to do my master's directly after my engineering, and then I flew to US, to New York, Rochester Institute of Technology, where I did my master's in computer science. After that, I did my I did 2 internships. One of the internship I did in New York, Rochester itself, one of the local firms called Linkware. And then from there, while I was doing that, I also got an offer from Intuit, where I did a co-op or it's a similar to an internship program, but a bit lengthier. And then from there, I was converted to full time, and I've been part of Intuit since then. While I was working with Intuit, I started my GraphQL journey when I was working with the consumer space, and that's where we identified the GraphQL orchestrator problem, and we started development on GraphQuilt. We quickly realized that it's not a problem just with Intuit, but also some of the open source community is facing the same problem, and there's not a lot of projects out there which solve that problem. So we started creating GraphQuilt with a open source lens in mind, and we started by keeping the repository outside, so we kind of don't corrupt it with the intuitisms that we were building. So that's how GraphQuilt was created, and that's how we were able to create that project.
Okay, so how much time did it take for you to create GraphQuilt?
I think it took us, the first version was done in like 3 months, but we didn't put it out there because there's a lot of refactoring that we had to do to remove the internal details from the project. But I think we put it out there after a year. But truth be told, I think it was part of my day-to-day duties. Not, I didn't have to carve any special time out of it. Just that I have to keep the mindset that this is supposed to be open source and maintain that vision throughout the development phase of that project.
Got it. So, sir, from your literally education journey to your professional this, I want to know, you have an experience of both international, the US studying style and the Indian studying style. What have you seen? What kind of difference have you seen in these systems, and how do they actually make difference in the student's life as well?
So I think I'll try to compare engineering mostly. In India, usually the focus is more on theory, and in US it's very practical. I mean, I can compare, like I remember writing pages of assignment when I was doing engineering here, and it was each subject, not just one subject. It was all the subjects. I had to write a lot to actually get through the engineering, and there was very less programming assignments involved. Even some cases, I used to write programs on paper. But in US, the assignments and the coursework is more about practical knowledge and actually getting into the code and programming. I also noticed one thing that I want to share is a lot of my friends who came from India with me with the bachelor's degree. I think they struggled in programming mostly in US, and they had to like learn it from the scratch. But the expectation was in US from the master students were that they should know programming, right? So even the tests, right, in US were most about MCQs based or one-line answers rather than like writing lengths of paragraphs which could hurt your fingers as well, right? But in US, I think it was like one-liner or one-word answers or MCQs, and the questions were catered in a way that it will not be a textbook answer. It will be an answer that you need to think about it.
Your thought process is just
yes,
judged
it is tested, and you need to attend the lectures where the professors are teaching these concepts rather than just reading it from a book. Nothing bad about the Indian engineering thing, but I think the tests and the programming lab work, I think, is the difference here. The books are typically saying the same thing, but I think the grades are tied to your work that you do in a practical way rather than theoretical way.
So have you been through the curriculum that IT?
I have.
Do you see any similarity what we are giving and what you've learned during your US masters?
I think the focus on completing a project and thinking in terms of projects, which is more close to how industries operate or the software industry operates, is what is similar. The other thing is the internship program. Like I just shared that I had 2 internships while I was doing my master's. That is something which is very important and shaped me as an engineer, and prepared me basically when I actually entered the corporate world, or the technical world. I think that is something which will be a game changer, and I think it is setting the ITM university apart from the other universities. I see a lot of practicality and focus on completing a project which is dealing with all aspects of software, rather than teaching one subject in a silo and then doing that, right? So I think that is the differentiator, and that will probably help students a lot when they are almost ready when they actually enter the industry.
You had an interaction with these second year students. So, what was your thought? And I would want to know, you in your second year and these students in their second year, if not you, but someone who has done their engineering from a traditional college where it is all about textbook, that student and these students of second year, what kind of difference have you seen, like, while interacting with them?
So I think when I was in second year, I did not know programming that well, because I think the focus was more around like one assignment or one concept of programming rather than a project. By the end of the second year, I think I was okay with programming because I liked it, right? So I took additional effort or extra effort to actually learn it. But I saw majority of students actually, even after clearing the subjects, had theoretical knowledge and not very well versed with programming. That is the difference that I see second year students here and there. Even I could give an example of hackathons. We never had those kind of things for us. It was all coursework and everything. And I think we only got a sense of project or sense of working on a project at our BE or the final year of engineering, where we actually had to deliver a project to complete our masters. And I guarantee if it was not part of the curriculum, no one would have taken it seriously, right? So I think that changes you, the way you think about engineering and the way you think about software in general.
So you said it is kind of an advantage because you had that interest in programming. How did you come up to know that, yeah, this is something that I really want to do?
I think I would say, like, when I actually worked on a couple of programs, and I think the logic and the thought process and even the data structures course, to be very honest, when I actually did the data structures course, where it was more about algorithms and thinking about problems, and I think there some of the data structure problems are actually puzzles, right? When we had to codify that, and when we while doing that process, I think I kind of know that I'm kind of loving it, the whole process, and that's where I gained interest in programming. I wouldn't say that I tried different languages, but whatever I was doing, I was kind of loving it.
Loving it and enjoying it.
I didn't go like beyond the coursework, to be very honest, but what was part of the coursework, I took it very seriously when it came to programming.
So you were sure about yes, this is something I want to do.
Yeah, I think by the end of second year, third year, I was sure about like, hey, I want to do programming.
As you're keen about mentoring students as well, and many other professionals as well, how do you mentor those people who are kind of unsure, like, okay, what we are supposed to do, and if we are in that tech industry, how should we do it? Like, how do you advise them?
I think it's a process, to be very honest, and I think it's a process which takes time for some people, and a process which just clicks for some people. Like it clicked to me very early on, so I just kept pursuing it. Like I took courses even in masters which were programming based. When I did my internships, I took an internship which was heavily involved in programming and things like that. And I never got bored of it, to be very honest. So it worked out for me, but typically I think uh, if it does not work and it takes long, I think you should be courageous enough to switch streams very early on, because at towards the end of the career, it it won't be too late. It is never too late, but you will question a lot before, or think a lot about switching or trying new things. So if something is not uh, something, if there's something that you don't like, or if something that you're just doing it sake for doing, try to avoid, or doing something else even close to what you have is good. And I typically suggest that they take small steps, like don't drastically change streams. If you are a software engineer or a programming field, and if you're not liking it, try trying out a program manager or a data analyst, which is not very programming heavy, but close to software engineering, and it will uh, it is a easy transition rather than switching it to something like, hey, from tomorrow I'll be an HR or something, right? Or a lawyer. So right, so I'll probably, like, you should also be aware of what skills you process, and how much learning curve it will take for you to move to a different stream, right? You should not be, it should not be a very big step, to be very honest. I think if you switch it to I've seen at my employer also, I've seen people to switch careers, but mostly within the realms of software engineering, right? And I've seen people going from software engineering to others also. They struggle in the initial phases, but at the end of the day, they know what they're getting into, and they eventually turn out to be happy.
So, was there any other thing other than software engineering or other than engineering part that you enjoyed? And if not this, then maybe you would have gone there.
uh, Other than engineering, as part, not part of software engineering.
Not part of software engineering, but whatever took you to your professional, state, like towards your engineering side. If not this, then you would have chosen some different career or some different thing. So, what it would have been?
I think I would have chosen to be a graphic designer, or a game developer, or something around that, or concept game concept creator or something.
You play online games.
I do not, but I'm curious about them. So yeah, but mostly graphic designer or something, something creative. But I think I'll be on, I'd still be on laptops, or still be in front of computers.
Got it. So, as you are a mentor, you also might have someone as your mentor. So, what is that ideal quality that was like, okay, yeah, we search for some qualities in our mentors. So, what was that ideal quality for you that when you saw them, when you had an interaction with them, they were like, yeah, I should look after them?
So I think the most important quality that I found in my mentor, and was approachability, right? And openness. So, and that is very important uh, for me to speak my mind in front of my mentor. And I think it helped me a lot when I was in the very early career of my journey, to have that conversation with an open mind. And also, my mentor was a lead in my team only. So, getting that liberty of uh, making decisions myself, and nurturing that, and kind of encouraging me to think about certain problems with an open mind, is something that the mentor helped me in general within my team, and like shape me as an engineer to think beyond and think out of the box, and not limited to like a small problem. I think that is very important. Approachability, and I would say, like, uh, throwing you in that water at the right time, right? And like, because a mentor usually knows what your strengths are, and he knows that if you just push yourself a little bit, you will probably get to that next level, right? So I think that is very important.
Any line of your mentor that you still remember, and yeah, you still work on it?
I'll have to think, but I think uh, I wouldn't remember a line, but I remember a quality that uh, he always was trying to solve for a bigger problem rather than solve a very small problem. And that is where I think, even though the problem or the statement is solved today, small today, you have to think beyond that, beyond today, and try to see how it fits in the larger picture, right? And I think that is something that I have learned, and I still imbibe by, and still go by when I'm thinking about a problem. And one line I actually really like, it's not uh, from my mentor, but from my one of the lines that we actually speak about in at Intuit is, we need to be married to the problem rather than the solution, right? Typically we are so much uh, tied or infatuated by our solution that we lose sight of the problem. So staying close and true to the problem is something that you probably want to build yourself uh, that you need to build yourself as a good software engineer. And I think that is something that I still go by.
So many students like now, they are so motivated to go to overseas countries, and be it like settling or be it for work thing, they are just motivated to go and studies and do everything they want to do. So my main question is there any particular skill or any particular skill development they should look after, especially these students in tech industry? So is there anything they should focus on? Because I guess things might be different over there and here, so that can help them over there.
So I think currently, rather than skill, I think because software engineering specifically is uh, a field that keeps changing pretty fast. You can think about how AI is changing the whole way we do programming, or the way softwares are built, right? So it is a fast changing environment. But rather than skills, I would prefer them having uh, having them uh, have them learn a few, like have a different side kind of attitude towards engineering in general. One thing is, there will always be learning new things. You can't acquire a skill and be with that skill and expert of that skill throughout your career, right? Even if in this same even if you're with the same employer, you need to keep adapting yourself to whatever is hot, trending, and changing at that point, right? That is one. And the other thing is, innovations are not done daily. They are done when you have a problem and when you apply your brilliance or experience to a bigger problem. And typically you don't do that daily, right? So part of your daily job is to make sure that things work, and things work the way it is. So every morning you will not be solving a problem or you will not be doing an innovation, right? So we need to be, no, I wouldn't say training, but we need to be prepared for a monotonous way of working also. Like, it will not be interesting all days of work. You need to be aware of that, and there will be times where you will get an opportunity, and where you will be getting the correct problem where you can excel and shine. That is very important. The other thing, I think the third thing that I want to talk about is, when you are in when you are abroad And when you are very early in your career, or when you're a student, or when you're just going there, it's not just about studies and career. It's about how you manage your home, how you manage your finances, and how you manage personal how you manage yourself personally as well. So there's a lot of learning and a character growth that happens while you're doing that, but it at the early stages sometimes becomes frustrating to people, right? So I would say, like, when you think about, I think going abroad is great. There's a lot of perks with it, but it's not just career, and it's not just there's a lot other things that comes with it, right? And career wise, I think learning and having the right attitude is more important than the skills and the aptitude that you possess.
Did you find any difficulties when you moved to States?
I did. I That was the first time me staying away from my family. So a lot of things that I had to do initially, like shopping, grocery shopping, then bills, right? Internet, electricity bills, and then cooking, washing, and everything. So for me, that was a difficult part uh, when compared to the coursework itself, right? Managing expenses and all those things, right? And initially, I actually did some job on campus as well, so that was great. And I think I realized that that actually nullifies your expenses. So it was a journey where you start with uh, start jumping into the ocean, and then slowly figure things out. And then I think first 3 to 6 months were very difficult when I was just learning that, but after that point of time, it builds your character, and I think it helps you grow as a person. And that happened with me too. I think more than the career, I think it helped me grow as a person and helped me uh, gain maturity in general, right?
As a creator of GraphQuilt and contributing at open source as well, how do you think it is important for these students and professionals also to be a contributor into it?
I think thinking about whatever problem that we solve, thinking about it from a wider lens, or increasing, putting it in a bigger platform is important. And that's what we did. Always one thing I actually learned the hard way was always look at open source solutions, and always look at whatever you're solving at your employer, or even at your local level, or even for your personal project. Think about it. If there's a readily available open source solution, that is where you should start with, because a lot of things might be there which might help you save time, or you'll find out there's something that is missing, and you can contribute a library or utility to the open source world. That actually helped us create GraphQuilt, because we started with finding something online, and then we saw that there's nothing which matches us, which matches our problem, and then we started creating it the open source way, with a vision to solve locally, but at some point put it out in the open source world. But I think one thing that we should do is always build things generically, which can be applied to any other company, or to any other project, right? If you're building a tool or a utility, and try to segregate or separate what is applicable to your problem, and interface it out to your project, right? So that you can reuse that same open source project, or the project that the solution that you're building it at multiple places. I think that's very important to think about it in a reusable way, rather than just try to solve that one problem that you're seeing.
So we know how tech landscape is really wide in terms of AI, in terms of cloud technologies and all. How do you stay updated, and do trends differ from places like, be it Europe, be it India, be it US? So do these trends change, and how do you stay updated? And uh, when you have to put that updatation things in your work, how do you do it?
So I don't think there's a lot of differences in trends in US and India, because most companies which are defining or changing the trend have offices in India, and they have some kind of a some kind of a data center, or like working headquarters or something, some kind of office in India, right? So these are uh, these companies are usually have engineers in US, and there's a lot of communication that happens between the US and Indian engineers, and a lot of projects are being shared between them. So I don't think there's a lot of differences in trends. I think the only thing that usually are different are the regulations and what you can do given the boundaries of the country, right? For example, payment apps are slightly different there, and payment apps are different here, and a lot of integrations there are just for US based firms, and US based because it has to follow the regulations and regulations of the government. And similarly in here there are different tax softwares is another example which we Intuit as a financial institution works for. So I think those are the things that are different. I think the trends of the software technologies and industries are kind of similar, where they want to move. The recent trend is like AI. They want to move to most companies want to move to AI, automate a lot of processes using AIs. That's happening here as well. There's still a lot of uncertainties, I would say, about AI and the usage, where it can be applied or not. I think it's common between both the countries, or even globally. So I feel that the technologies usually the trends in technologies are usually global, but I think the regulations and all those things which actually are limited to the boundaries of the countries are is what differentiates these products, I would say, right? The products are different, but the technologies, I would say, are used are same.
How do you make sure your the members under you are also, up to date with all these trends? Like if they miss out something.
So I think what we usually have is you need to one thing is like problem solving is there. Problem solving, the basic core concepts of software engineering are still same. Scaling and all those things are still same, but I think you need to keep going to these conferences and events, right, where it helps where the industry is trending. And even if you are in a niche, like for example, my niche is GraphQL, but by going to these conferences I get to know what are the innovations and other companies, what are the other companies doing in GraphQL, right? So, and I think as a employer, most employers encourage doing that, to go to a conference that you like and that in the technology that you're interested in. And like AWS reInvent, if you're interested in cloud technologies, Google has conferences, Amazon has a huge conferences that you can typically go. So going to these conferences, you get to meet a lot of diverse engineers working on same or different aspect of the technology, and you get to learn a lot using that. I mean, and then the other ways you actually take efforts and go to search something. When you're actually working on a problem, you stumble across some things, and you read blogs or magazines, tech papers that come out, and kind of acquaint yourself with these technologies and the latest trends. But I think conferences is one thing that I think it has been very helpful for me. I usually go for 1 or 2 conferences a year, uh, typically GraphQL, but I have been to API conferences as well, which helps me upgrade myself on what's happening in the industry. And the last one I went was, I think, the GraphQL conference 2024. Yeah, this was in San Francisco.
And now this is just a rapid fire round kind. One of your favorite coding languages.
Java.
Okay. Favorite project or favorite product that you have worked?
There is a domain specific language that I've built while I was working at Intuit. It is not open source, but we plan to do it. It's an old project. It is called as, the language is with .flow extension, and it helps orchestrate across uh, microservice and perform data transformations. That is one of the technologies which I have built, which is one of the favorite, close to my heart. Other one is GraphQuilt, and one of the product which was very interesting that I've built in the very early career, was a sidecar experiences where you upload the document on the phone, and the desktop or the laptop or web actually refreshes the data with the uh, data from the uploaded document. So that was something that we built very early on. It was used for a tax product, and that is something that was very interesting. And I think from an experience perspective, taking a picture typically happens on the phone, but when you are filing taxes, you typically file on desktop. So it kind of was a beautiful mixture of these two devices.
Any AI trend, AI tool that you use the most?
I use Chat GPT, and we have our own AI platform at Intuit, which I typically use for my day-to-day activities, which has which is basically a mixture, or I would say like a combination of all the different open source AI available outside. So we have that platform that gives us a unified view of all the tools.
Any tech trend that you're most excited about, especially in 2025?
I am excited about the marriage of GraphQL with AI.
Marriage of
GraphQL with AI.
AI.
I am very excited to see what AI projects or AI tools can be applied to GraphQL, and it will just complement GraphQL beautifully to make it even powerful.
Are you a chai person or a coffee person?
Always chai.
Chai. So USA में you get that kind of mast.
We don't get chai in USA. I usually make it at home.
Okay, and if you are in your office time, then
I don't drink coffee or anything during my office time. For a long time, I didn't actually drink chai also. But then I missed it a lot, and I started having it regularly.
any piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
For my younger self, from a technology perspective, I think I would say, like, I was very studious, and I was very focused on studies and stuff. I would advise that you should probably know about other things as well, and not just be very focused or too focused on studies, and that will help you grow as better as a person, right? Not just be a good student,
But don't
be
you think
good
that is
overall.
kind of advantageous? Because I am one of those students who wasn't studious at all, like the average one. So I would rather want to be someone who is very studious and yeah, like हो सकती है पढ़ाई हो सकती है, but I am not that kind of person. So.
It could be very advantageous to the early career, but it hits you up when uh, at some time at some point it will hit you up, because I feel that in addition to studies, you should also focus on communication and how to deal with people and how to clearly articulate what you're thinking. And I I learned it very later on in my career. Even during the early stages of my career, I was very strong programmatically, but not a very good communicator or not a very good marketer or seller, right? So, but once you climb up the ladder, climb up in your career, that becomes very important, and the other aspects of your studies or anything fade down, and it's more about how you communicate and how you influence, right? So I feel that learning these skills very early on in your career is going to be equally important than the actual studies or coursework that you do. So focusing on the soft and communication skills is as important.
We've made soft skills, networking, participating in hackathons, all these are part of their curriculum itself. So I would want to know your opinion on this thing because I don't think many colleges actually encourage students to actually go out and just participate in as many hackathons or conference tech meets that happen.
Yeah, I think I really loved the hackathon that was part of. Uh, the part of the reason is while I was in my engineering, I never ever went on stage, and I think getting students exposed to that level of communication, having it's not forcing, but it's kind of removing that fear, the stage fear. Especially when you are an introvert, you probably don't want to get into things like that, right? So I feel that having these kinds of events where everyone is doing that will help you prepare yourself in the long run. And while I was during my coursework, there was a communications project in my second year, but it was not that like it was just between a group of, it was not that I would say uh, collaborative, or that not that it didn't help much, to be very honest. And hackathons like this, where you are actually presenting technical ideas and the ideas about your project, it also helps you influence and talk about the problems and the solutions, which will be very helpful in the industry. Because when you grow up in your career, you typically have to do a lot of these presentations and talking about your solution approaches and your architecture. uh, yeah. And even for public speaking, right, when I was you can actually also participate in conferences, and if you are building something like GraphQuilt or some open source project, you can talk about that to a larger audience. I have done that. I have spoken in GraphQL conferences, the very first in 2023, and then all things open source. The first one was very difficult, but once you get out of that fear, I think it becomes easy. And I wish that I could have done that during right from my college days. To tie it back to your question, right? Uh, it would have been easier to do that, and I would have started that very early on in my engineering career or with my employer, if I would have started during my college days or engineering days.
As you are a speaker, you are a mentor. Many students, many professionals would have come up to you with some or the other common kind of questions they face in the same industry. So, what kind of problems do they face, and how do you help them on the same then?
I think very common question that I have seen is, how do I get to the next level? How do I get to the next level in my career? If there's a SWE2 asking me going to a senior software engineer, if there is a senior wants to be a staff or a tech lead, And I usually say that I think that's same, like uh, having uh, that expectation clear with your superior, and working on a plan, and that's also very important to have career conversations. uh, unless and until you speak up what your aspirations are with your superior and ask for help, you will not get it, right? The clarity you should also have. Once you have that clarity, you should also have that clarity to the superior that, hey, I want to, this is my goal, and you are my mentor, you are my supervisor. How can I get there, and what do I need to do to get there? It might be a year long journey or a 2 year long journey or more than that, but at least there is a clear path on, hey, if I do XYZ, I'll probably go to the next level. And I think I have done that, and a lot of people early on in the career don't do that and talk to their supervisors very clearly about the career aspirations and how to achieve it. And that's very, very important, because once I started doing that, I think at least there's a clarity in mind that, hey, these things are missing, these things are something that I want to work on.
Yeah, I
Right?
can work upon
Yeah.
these things.
Because it also gives you the perspective of like what others perceive you as, like getting that feedback from your superior and the team members or others that you work with is very important, uh, because else you'll have a picture drawn for yourself which might not be the reality.
Any last piece of advice I would want you to give to the students, be it the first year, be it the second year, be it any student who is just, right now at their very building stage?
uh, I think one thing that you typically think about when you're a student is, hey, let me complete this course and I'll be set, right? That's not the case. You need to keep learning. It's a different kind of learning throughout your life or throughout your career, right? So even if your marks and tests are gone, the learning will never be done. You will have to upgrade yourself and keep on learning to excel in your career, whatever you have. Uh, if you can find the passion, or if you can find a field that you're passionate about, it'll be a lot more fun, and I think it will not feel like it will not be taxing if you find that. But I think that is something that I want to prepare them, that even after college ends, it's not going to be it's not, the learning is not going to end. Just be ready for that. It's not going to be like very difficult or something, but a lot of people just have like, hey, let me just do complete my course and I'll be done. Especially in the software engineering, it's not never ending process, right?
Thank you so much, sir.